Hello everyone. A few viewers of mine have asked me why it is that I am of such little acquaintance with pop references in film and media and books, and I will say to you that this is because my family has been exceptionally protective of me in my youth, and I have had little time to acquaint myself with these things. As an adult, the large majority of my time has been devoted to my scholastic pursuits as well as personal research and hobbies. So I still have very little in the way of these interests. But I could, if I wanted to, indulge in these things. So why do I abstain? Well, firstly, I have discussed before about how formulaic most things in pop fiction are, but aside from that, I actually, despite having had these things absent from my life, their absence has made it so that they have yet to actually catch on in my life. And I notice in my day-to-day life how my perspective on various subjects is completely perpendicular to that conventional narrative. It really is baffling. Like, for example, one clear thing that I know is the clear result of my lack of socialization, or at least I attribute it to that. One thing is, I notice that men are attracted to different things in women than I am, and it is beyond simply a mere quirk or a difference in personality. I simply do not react to women the same way that my contemporaries do, that my masculine peers do. And I feel that this is simply because I have had little to affect me in the way of pornography, or little to affect me in the way of socializing what attractiveness actually is, or how attractiveness should look. I can recognize that someone is attractive towards other people based upon various media cues, but I feel that the reason that they are not tied viscerally to my emotions is because I have yet to be socialized in that regard, and I am happy and thankful for this. I am blessed in that regard. I wish to draw a boundary between myself and what the media can impose upon me, and my ability to do so is frequently compromised. It is difficult, it is a lot of work, and frankly it is impossible to do completely. And I bring this up because of a few discussions I have had with my friends about, well, shouldn't you just get over these things? Well, in regards to my unwillingness to participate in pop media, well, my aversion to violence, aside from the fact that it horrifies me, I have not been socialized to enjoy violent film and media, and therefore when I experience it, to me it is as if I am experiencing it in real life. It is horrifying to me, and it actually scares me immensely. I have been involved with a lot of violence in my life, and that also is partly what contributes to my fear and aversion of violence in media. The glorification of violence in film is something that it has cost me jobs and has gotten me expelled from classes, and has created great difficulty to me because I cannot be around it. It really bothers me, and it changes my behavior in ways that are very negative, that I am little in control of, and I go to therapy for it. So I simply choose not to be around it, because I know it has negative effects on my behavior. And frequently people will tell me, well, you just need to get over it. You need to just desensitize yourself to it. Realize it's just a movie. Realize that it's just film, and just get over it and not let it affect you so deeply. And to that I would say, there are certain things I can show you that I think that if I said those same arguments to, I think you would backpedal. I think when we make arguments like that, it stops at the front door. It stops in our backyard. It stops when it's something we personally oppose to. And I've made videos before discussing about how things are seldom just movies. There are certain things, like for example, very violent films. You will say, oh, it's just a movie, but I can show you other things that the fact that it's a movie is little excuse for. There are many things that one can view, especially on the internet, that the fact that it is fictional, the fact that it is not real, the fact that it is just a movie or just this or just that, is hardly seen as an excuse, and does little to take away from the reprobate nature of its mere existence. I can see many such similar things, and that argument would seldom hold up. But in regards to my own personal traumas and so forth and getting over it, really, at the end of the day, even if I could get over it, I would reduce the harm that I feel if I could. I would reduce the emotional impact that I could. But at the same time, I don't want to. I think it's normal for me to be scared of violence. I think it's normal for me to react to these things with fear and horror and even disgust. I think it's a healthy reaction. Would it be good if I didn't suffer those feelings? Possibly, but I think that is actually a part of me I wish to maintain. I do. I wish to remain sensitive in regards to valuing people's lives and emotions and their suffering. So I do actually notice in the way that, for example, just some things that I notice. When I am with friends and I'm speaking with them in public, I notice that I reflexively position myself so that the sun is not beating in their face. I automatically, when I speak to people, I position myself automatically in such a way so the sun is beating in my face and not in their face. And I don't do this out of virtue, but I automatically respond that way. I automatically behave that way. And this is something that is probably alien to you, not because you are insensitive, but because most people have not been socialized this way. I feel because many people have been desensitized and we have really lost a great deal of empathy to each other. For example, in media, when something sad is happening, when something bad is happening, it's obvious, right? There's sad music playing, they show you flashbacks so that you understand what the person is going through, so that you can empathize with them. But in real life, someone can be diagnosed with cancer, and they can be coming into work, and they can act like everything is normal, and no one will know. And what will happen if they do know? What changes? That is the horror of reality. The horror of reality is that people have very little access to our true feelings and our emotions, and empathy is actually a subtle art, rather than being able to see someone crying hysterically because of some tragic loss that they heroically fought to prevent. And in real life, people's children die because they don't have enough money to pay for them to have crutches, and make it difficult to go to get treatment for an illness because they don't have a well-paying enough job, or because they don't have enough of a social network to provide them with a better paying job. The reality is that the real heroes of society are almost always forgotten by history. The bus driver, the burger cook, the burger flipper, all of these people are heroes, and will be heroes in unmarked graves. And that is the reality that we forget. We forget these things when we indulge in these films and these movies. Are they just movies? I think to some degree they desensitize us to violence, but also to even things like basic empathy and emotion. And I wish to maintain that within myself. Could I enjoy these things while maintaining that? Maybe. If I felt it was worth it. I do watch things for school. I do read things for school. I experience enough of the media just in my day-to-day life. I really do. My friends joke about how they when a movie comes out, they go and they see it and they ask me, "Hey, what's that movie about?" And I tell them what it's about, and I tell them the plot, and they ask me, "How did you know? How did you know?" Well, I mean, is Fast and Furious really that different from Need for Speed, or is Harry Potter really that different from Lord of the Rings? And is Lord of the Rings really that different from Star Wars? Are they really that different? I mean, maybe depends on how you look at it. But You could say they are very different, sure, but the plot and the characters, all of these things, in my opinion, they seem you would be able to predict certain things from one to the other to the other. Let's just say that. So if I felt some kind of genuine need, I probably would. And that is my answer to you in regards to why I avoid these things. Because I have yet to be conditioned to enjoy these things due to my childhood and life experiences. They seem hurtful to me. They cause me suffering. I feel suffering and distress, and it triggers painful memories for me. So they make me uncomfortable to begin with. And people say, just get over it. Well, there's other things that I feel would be a hard dumpling for you to swallow too, and you would be questioning about whether you should or shouldn't. Those things that I'm talking about on the internet, that what I'm referring to. There's certain things that society would, they're a fat dumpling they couldn't swallow, Everyone has those things. And at that point, if it becomes about desensitizing yourself, you start realizing that certain things, really, it's good for you to have a reaction of aversion to, right? Like, is it healthy for me to enjoy smacking myself in the face with a hammer? And the final point is, if I actually felt the need to enjoy this media and felt it would genuinely benefit my life, I would. The main benefits that I have to desensitizing myself are purely the fact that I would be able to better function in society because these things are everywhere. That is the number one benefit that I would experience. And that brings in the last point that I have here. It's just a movie, right? And I should just desensitize myself over it. And it's just a movie and has no bearing on society. But then, if that's the case, why do all of these films which preach violence, the violation of consent, why is it so hard for society to respect my lack of consent? Respect my consent and keep it out of my life. Why is it so hard for me to just avoid that media in of itself? Shouldn't I have the right to not be advertised to, or to be free of advertisements, or to be free of whatever media I wish to abstain from? Shouldn't I be able to revoke consent at any and all instances, in any situation? Shouldn't I? I think that's really what this boils down to. It's just a movie, and therefore, because it's just a movie, we presuppose that the effects of violence on media have little effect on us, and yet the consent that I and many people want to build society upon is often torn away from our hands. And that is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I would like to know what you think. Do you think that people have a right to, for example, play violent scenes in movies in ways that people cannot remove themselves from access? Like, for example, I can see violent scenes in commercials. If I'm in Walmart and I'm walking past the televisions, I see violent films playing. I see violent scenes playing, and it upsets me. Do they have a right to do that? It is their property. Is it ethical? What do you think? Please let me know your thoughts. If I have less than 100 comments, I will read them, if I'm still alive and kicking, hopefully. Thank you all. God bless you. Goodbye.